I wonder your thoughts on what we just heard. I know there's a sense of relief here. We are avoiding a shutdown. It does appear at the end of this week, but a lot of folks are saying we simply prolonged a shutdown, the inevitable shutdown, until January, because the House, the Senate, even members of the Republican conference in the House are simply not agreeing on where to go forward here. How do you see it?
Well, Joe, it's good to be with you. I think there are three key takeaways from the two-step continuing resolution process that passed the House yesterday. First, and perhaps most importantly, we have collectively, both in the House and Senate, agreed that we're not going to have the perennial Christmas omnibus spending bill, where all the unfinished work on appropriations is dumped into one giant multi-thousand-page bill and then crammed down on House and Senate members trying to get home for Christmas. That's point one. Point two is, yes, it's a two-step process, but that offers the opportunity for senators and House members to take on some of the spending bills that we've already passed. The House has passed almost 80% of spending across our House floor, and get those bills done by early January. This gets us the time necessary to do that drafting and do those conference decisions, which include the top line spending number that was debated. And then I'd say finally, it really is good, in my opinion, that both the House and Senate agreed. So I don't view it's all negative. I view the cup is half full at this stage.
Okay, Congressman, but when we think about the timeline here, as these are conversations that need to be had about spending levels, we're relitigating conversations that were had about spending levels and were actually agreed to back in May with the debt ceiling deal. Why would we be relitigating them now? Do you think that is wise, or should that largely be stuck to, make it a little easier on everyone, maybe?
Well, I think the Fiscal Responsibility Act levels, the so-called FRA spending levels, are probably close to where we will end up. And I think that could have been decided earlier. That's true. But individual members wanted to go to each of those appropriations bills and look at each bill from the bottom up and try to cut as much spending as they could, given the avalanche of spending since the pandemic. So I understand their pressure. But more likely than not, we'll end up somewhere near that FRA level, and we'll get some conservative policy wins. And we do that by having worked hard to pass as many of those bills through committee and most on the House floor.
Mm-hmm. There's still a pretty long punch list, Congressman. Once we deal with funding the government, let's say we avoid the shutdown here, everything gets done in the new year. You've still got the NDAA to deal with, the matter of Israel and Ukraine funding. And I know something that is important to you as someone who serves on the Intelligence Committee, and that's the renewal of the FISA 702 warrantless spying program. Is that going to be renewed by the end of the year, or is that too controversial for Congress to manage right now?
Well, Joe, we take one holiday at a time, and right now we're celebrating the fact that we're going to see Thanksgiving and not be in Washington, so that's a good thing. We're hopeful that Christmas is the same, so we'll see if we can make it to Groundhog Day and get some of this work done. But seriously, we will, in my view, have consensus on both spending for Ukraine and Israel on a bicameral basis and get something to the president, I hope, before year end, but certainly not, if not then, early in the new year. And this gives us time to work on that separate from the big appropriation measure itself. And on FISA 702, that expires at 12/31 of this year. And I'm very opposed to it expiring. And I've told that to Speaker Johnson, and I have a commitment from Speaker Johnson that we will find a way to extend it while we have bipartisan, bicameral reforms to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, and how 702 is used and the safeguards around it. I expect we will have strong bipartisan reforms there. People don't like what happened in 2016 or in 2020 vis-a-vis the use of FISA. We've taken a lot of testimony on it, and I think we'll have a much better, much reformed, much better overseen program.
Just to return quickly, Congressman, to the issue you were mentioning when it comes to Israel and Ukraine funding, your hope that all of this may be sorted out by year end. We were speaking with Senator Tom Tillis, a fellow Republican, earlier on in the show, and I asked him if the Senate sends something to the House that ties everything together, does he have confidence that Mike Johnson will put it on the floor? He said he hopes so. Do you share that view?
I do. I do. I'll just simply share the hope because the House's preferred strategy.
What about the likelihood, Congressman?
Well, look, what I'm going to say is it's likely that we'll have a strong bipartisan support to pass the needed funding for Israel, the needed funding for Ukraine, and the needed funding to support our ally Taiwan in the South China Sea. I can't tell you how that road is going to be accomplished, but I know that's where it's going to end up. And I hope both the House and Senate have their own quality control and targeted spending in review of Joe Biden's supplemental request. I know I've been in a lot of meetings with administration officials on that, and we want to fine tune it and get it directed, we think, in the most effective way for all three countries who are strong allies of the United States.
I wonder if every member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, like yourself, Congressman, will be watching and listening to the president later when he holds this news conference following his meeting with President Xi. How important will the message from the White House be tonight?
Well, it's very important that we hear from the president and see what he learned from the bilateral with the Chinese communist leader, Xi. I think people are very concerned about the direction that might take, but we want to hear from the president. We have our own China committee, select committee here in Congress. It's a bipartisan committee that's assessing what is the best American strategy to counter the malevolent activities of China economically, diplomatically, and in national security. So we're always interested to hear what the president has to say on that topic, and if there's been any movement in the Chinese towards these important topics that we've raised many, many times and not gotten a very satisfactory answer from Chinese leadership.